Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Asher Marketing Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Asher Agency, a full-service marketing agency with offices in Indiana, West Virginia, and Washington, D.C. For nearly 50 years, Asher has helped our clients tell their stories, reach customers and prospects, and stand out from the crowd. To learn more about how we can help your company, visit asheragency.com or contact us at hello@asheragency.com. My guest is Jessica Foor. Jessica, thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, before we hit record, we learned that we have some stuff in common. I worked for Parkview a million years ago, and that's where you are now. We'll talk more about that. And you two are a graduate of Indiana Tech and an MBA, correct?
Correct. That's
so
right.
So when were you in the MBA program at Indiana Tech?
That would have been 2012 through 2014-ish.
Okay. All right. So we may have had some of the same instructors. Jeff Walls, maybe? He seems to have taught everyone in the world, basically, who has gone to college. They've had experience with Jeff Walls, maybe.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Is that bad? Like, I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
Well, you've had a child
here
since then, so you're forgiven. There's a lot going on. You have a big job. You have a family. You have other things. Well, I want to start at the beginning, because one of the things we talk about on the podcast is career path. And my understanding is you grew up in Columbia City, so, stayed close to home over the years. When you were first thinking about careers, when was that? And were you thinking someday I'll be in a communication role, or did you pivot from something else you thought you were going to be doing?
Oh, there was a little pivot.
Okay.
So I always wanted to be a writer. Storytelling.
Yep. Another thing we have in common.
Yeah, that was my passion. I was yearbook editor, newspaper editor in high school, that sort of thing. Went to Ball State for journalism. But did a little mini pivot to telecommunications when I decided TV news would be more fun than print journalism.
Okay.
And kind of gave up my hopes of being Anna Wintour or Miranda Priestley for our millennials, but kind of gave that up. And I'm like, no, TV news is where it's at. That's what I want to do. Yeah. And so I had to do an internship when I was at Ball State. Did that at Indiana's News Center here in Fort Wayne. Yep. Throwback. And it was that internship that really showed me I wasn't quite in the field I wanted to be in. I was close, but I wasn't quite there yet.
Can you articulate, not to share any deep, dark secrets, but what made you say this isn't for me? Do you remember?
Well, it seemed at the time, a lot of the people I was working closely with were looking for other careers. And I was like, oh, this is a red flag for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is the result of a lot of different factors. I mean, I have a lot of respect for our local news media. They do a great job, but it's hard work.
It is.
And, we were talking earlier about some of the professions that don't get paid enough, and sometimes media aren't compensated what they're worth in terms of experience, right? So you got to really love it. And if you don't, there's other possibilities.
Yes. And when I was at Ball State, the emergence of the multimedia journalist, MMJ, had just come about. Yeah. And I was like, oh, man, I got to carry the camera. I got to write the story. I have to do everything. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. And it was hard work. Yep. But like you said, I have such respect for all of the journalists in our market, particularly the MMJs who still do all their own work.
For sure.
But I determined at that time, that would have been 2009, that I didn't want to go down that path. And I was more interested in public relations. And that was where I enjoyed, when we were out telling stories, working with the folks on the other end who were giving us the stories.
So still storytelling, but just from a different perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you made that pivot, and then my understanding is you did an internship with an agency for a short amount of time. Is that correct?
I did. So I had actually graduated from Ball State in December of 2009. Okay. So I was a semester early because I had taken some summer courses, and that was right after the recession, the Great Recession. So jobs were
Hard to come
few
by.
and far between. So I worked as the bartender for a year out of college.
Another thing we have in common. I did that when I was in college. Yeah.
Yeah, slinging drinks. I did it, and I'm proud. It taught me a lot.
Yeah.
But during that time, I also did an unpaid internship just to keep my skills fresh and
build the resume in the right direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, because bartending's great for now, but if that's all that's on the resume, that's what people are going to think you want to do. So,
yes, exactly.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So when you parlayed that into a job at the airport, that's a pretty big leap. So how did that come about?
Yes. So I was actively looking for my first true big girl job, if you will. And one day I just thought to myself, I wonder if our local airport has marketing roles. And sure enough, I logged onto their website and they were hiring a marketing and administrative assistant.
That's good timing.
I was like, this sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
So I got the role, and it was an amazing experience. I have a great deal of respect for everyone who works at our local airport and the people who keep it running. It's an amazing place. But I was able to grow there and learn a lot. I ended up spending 5 years there.
Well, and those first jobs are so pivotal. It was really Parkview where I had my first marketing job. Yeah. And my boss at the time was Karen Manis. And I remember that she was a really great mentor. I got the job in a very similar way where didn't know anyone there, applied, and through a lot of good luck was selected. But I learned a little bit of everything, right? And that showed me, here's what you're good at, and here are the many things you're not and that you should leave to others.
Yes.
Was that your experience
100%.
then? Okay.
100%. Right. Yeah. And at the time at the airport, we had the pleasure of working with Asher quite a bit. I learned a lot about marketing from Asher. And then, on the PR side, which is where I really wanted to be, I was really enjoying that, writing press releases, working with reporters to tell stories and support interviews and all of that. But as you see in smaller organizations, I had to wear a lot of hats, and there were a lot of different things to be done. Yeah.
So you're there for about 5 years at the airport, and then you move into the position you're in now at Parkview. So for most people who listen to this podcast are going to be fully aware of Parkview, but how do you describe the place where you work now?
Yeah, so Parkview is a nonprofit health system serving northern Indiana primarily and northwest Ohio. Yep. We are a network of 15 hospitals now, 17,500 plus employees across the area. Yeah. We have around 300 clinics as well. So there's a Parkview presence in the majority of counties here.
And growing.
And growing.
Yeah. So, Jessica, is your primary responsibility to focus on external stakeholders, that being prospective patients, their families, others? Do you do anything with the internal audience, or is it all external?
I do. It's a combination. So I started at Parkview doing public relations. I was PR manager and really focusing on our media relationships and external storytelling. But I now have the pleasure of leading the PR team, but also social media, another external audience, and also our internal communications team, which is the team who delivers messages to those 17,000 coworkers across our system. And then in addition, we are building our government relations team. So legislative communications are a fairly new area for me. And then creative services team, which that in itself is made up of photo, video, graphic design, and copywriting to support both the communication side and the marketing team.
So if you're managing all these people, you must have a pretty great team.
They're incredible.
How many folks altogether are you working with on the team-ish?
I want to say communications has about 30. And if you look at marketing and communications as a whole, we're close to 50 now.
Wow. Okay. That's a big team.
But Parkview's growing quickly. So our team has grown to really support that.
So how have you adapted where, 15 years or so ago, you were hands-on doing the work, and now you have to kind of trust others to do it. They won't always do it the way you would do it. That doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's just different. Have you been able to let go? And if so, how have you done that?
Oh, that's such a good question. Yes, I'm getting better.
Yeah. It's tough, right?
Yes. I'm a recovering perfectionist. Yeah. But I I really have tried to empower my team to make decisions.
Yeah.
And I trust them.
Yeah.
They're really good at what they do. And I don't always know the answer. And I'm like, well, what do you think we should do here? Or what's your recommendation? And that's what we usually go with because they're super talented.
Yeah.
I'm still involved, but not as hands-on anymore. Hands-on when I need to be, or if, I'm the primary contact on a project, maybe I'll draft a press release here and there or write a coworker communication. But for the most part, the team handles everything, and they're really stellar at keeping things on the rails.
Well, it's a big shift, and it's another thing that we have in common is there was a point where my job went from hands-on, having more control over the end product, to really 20,000 foot level and being there when people needed me. And a lot of that was when they intensely needed me, right? And staying out of the way otherwise. Yep. And you have to trust the people you work with. You have to give them the best guidance you can. You have to let them find their own way. And at some point, at least this was true for me, you have to realize that they're smarter than you about some of that work. And in my case, most of it. But, it's a big shift. And I think that's where the real magic happens in a career, when you can be of service to, in your case, 30 or 50 people instead of just kind of minding, what you have direct responsibility for. Oh,
I learned a long time ago to hire people who are smarter than you, people who can push you and help you grow and learn and ask questions. And I love that about my team because they do. They're all really good.
Well, and as someone with a big job and as a working mom, you have other responsibilities. You probably could work 24/7 if you wanted to, but eventually you're going to have to pour in, for want of a better term, to your family. And having a team you trust allows you to get away and get the battery recharged in a way that allows you to come back to work, better than you were when you left.
Yes. And on the flip side, it's also my responsibility to make sure my team has that same work-life balance and they feel they can step away when they need to, or they can go to a recital at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Like, those are important moments. And I support them. I'm like, go. And the work will get done. But that's really important. And I think especially for my generation, I'm a millennial, but I say elder millennial because there is a divide there. But I think we really value the work-life balance, and that's important. So I make it important on my team.
Well, and I think that's great because, when I looked at, so I'm Gen X and probably, if I'm honest, older Gen X, although I hate to admit that. But the generation before me was very much like, you do what it takes to get the job done. If that means you work overtime, you do it. And sometimes that's true, right? But I don't buy into you're a better employee because you wear yourself out. I think you're better I am famous, my coworkers will back me up on this, for taking all my PTO, right? Take every hour I can. And I've learned over time that it's not about the contributions you make on one day. Those don't cancel out the rest of the year. It's what do you do over the course of the year? And if you have to dial back on one day, the world's probably going to continue to spin on its axis.
Yes. And we're not trying to drive anyone to burn out. Take the time you need.
So good job, millennials, for teaching the rest of us that you can have it both ways. So what are some of the projects that are on your mind? Some of the big things you're working on that are high on the to-do list? Maybe they're sometimes keeping you up at night, sometimes making you excited, maybe a combination of both.
Yeah. So we mentioned it earlier briefly, but Parkview is growing so quickly. And that's been really exciting to be a part of. The Northeast Indiana focused health system who's now statewide and in Ohio. And that's been fun and just exciting to be a part of that growth. And when we enter a new community, seeing them excited about having Parkview or a new hospital or new services, it's fun. And, getting to know the markets and the media in that market and eventually hiring coworkers and getting to know them and bringing them into the fold. It's all really exciting. And it's an exciting time.
And challenging. I mean, if I remember correctly from my experience, I worked at Parkview Whitley when it was just part of the Parkview system, and Parkview Huntington when it was just part of the Parkview Huntington system. The care team has to do a great job, and you have to communicate in a way that earns people's trust. You can't just come in and say, we're here to save the day, because those communities, they may not think that they need saving.
Right.
They may say, we had it pretty good. Please prove to us that you're going to be just as good. And there's certainly a communication element to that.
Yeah, and I think for us, the key there has been listening to the community. What do they need?
Yep.
What do they see they're going to need 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and how can we be a part of that, and how can we support them?
Yeah, that's great. So you've got the growth piece. What else is on your mind? What else are the big things that are taking up space in your mind?
Well, this is more of a fun one. AI. Everybody's talking about AI, right? But Parkview just launched an AI steering committee that I'm fortunate to serve on. And so far, we've only met once. It's been a lot of fun. But there are so many uses for AI, as you might imagine, in healthcare. But for my team and communications specifically, it's been an interesting approach. And I'm so curious your thoughts on this too, because I used to tell my team, and I still do every once in a while, that when we use generative AI for a message, we treat it like a drunk intern wrote it. And then we make multiple edits, and we make it ours, and we customize it, which can sometimes be more work. And they're like, well, let's just write it ourselves. So it has a time and place in comms, and I think we're open to adopting that if it makes sense. But then on the clinical side too, I'm just learning about so many ways that we're using AI, which is cool.
Yeah, and that's something that I would love to learn more about. I heard the announcement earlier, I think it was this week or last, that ChatGPT, OpenAI, they're rolling out ChatGPT for healthcare, right? Where you can ask questions of AI. That's probably has some great applications, and it's probably something that's going to be not so great. So I think that's where we are with it.
Yeah.
But going back to your analogy, the one thing that I always talk about with people on my team and others in marketing is that, you have to prioritize the project and know how much time does it require and how much of that needs to be unique human eyeballs, ears, and effort, right? Because there's a lot of pretty disposable content in 2026. I'm late enough in my career that I remember a time that every message got scrutinized and polished. And in a highly regulated industry, you need to do that with everything. But there's the disposable. This is going to be on social media. People will see it for a few days, and then it probably will never be seen again. For that, Canva's fine. Some AI-generated content is probably fine as long as there's a human in the loop. And then you have things like messages from the CEO and brand spots that are out there in the world. Those probably demand a little more time and attention, and you can't just click a button and say, okay, we're done.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And there, like you said, there's the human element that's necessary no matter what. And fortunately, we have a team of incredible communicators who just are really great writers on their own. They don't need ChatGPT always. But it'll just be interesting to see where it goes and how it can support communications.
And this committee is not just marketing communication, it's the clinical side as well.
Yep.
Wow, what a learning experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're all learning, right?
For sure.
How are we using this in a patient care setting?
Yeah.
How can we use it?
What's responsible?
What are the what things do we need to be mindful of?
Yeah.
What are the ethical considerations? All of that. So.
Well, and there's so much that is moving so fast and so much that's hard to conceive of today that will be a reality, in 5 years, maybe in 5 months, that you need different types of people thinking about the issue. One of the things I really value about millennials is that they have really, I just taught a class today, and I said this to my students. I said, you have really highly attuned BS meters. Right? If something is fake, you're going to be able to sniff it out. And the way that I explain this is when I was growing up, almost everything in the media environment was polished. It was a paid spokesperson working from a script. The lighting was just right, and everything looked great. And today, so much of what we consume in the media environment is from our family and friends in social media. It's got rough edges.
Yep.
So it's almost like if it looks too corporate, people are going to go, I don't believe that. So you have to find that sweet spot between how do you stay productive and use these tools to help you generate content, but how do you give it enough of a human voice that it's believable? And that's a big task.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Yep, is key.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, and you have the advantage of being in a field where there are naturally great stories every day, probably literally thousands of great stories every day. You also have confidentiality. So how are you tapping into those story opportunities?
We have multiple channels that we get stories from our patients, from our coworkers, and anytime anyone is sharing confidential information or PHI, protected health information, they sign certain waivers.
Yep.
Which
These are
is
these forms that everybody fills out at the beginning of a visit, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but we want to make sure they understand how their story is being used and they're completely on board. And if that plan were to change, we want to circle back to them and say, we'd like to also use this for X, Y, and Z and make sure they're comfortable with that. So we have them complete all of the documentation. But we get some really incredible stories. Patients receiving excellent care, or making breakthroughs, or coworkers going above and beyond. We get a lot of those stories. Physicians who are building careers or saving patients. I mean, we save lives. So there's so many incredible stories.
Yeah. Well, and I want to circle back to something you mentioned. When in doubt, make sure you'd rather err on the side of having approval to use someone's story than not ask enough, right? I just went through that today, something I'm working on where we're going to be using someone's image and a quote, and they've approved it. But I'm like, we're really going to be using it. It's going to be in ads, and they're going to be seen out in the world. Do we have your approval? And my suspicion is they're going to go, yeah, I already told you that. But I'd rather that than it gets out in the world and they say, hey, wait a minute, I didn't know it was going to be used here.
Yes, and we do that even with our own coworkers. Like we have a story we want to share internally about something great you did, but then our social media team sees it and they're like, we want to tell the world how great this is. And so then we go back to them and make sure they're comfortable with that. And sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. And we respect that.
Well, and it establishes a culture where that's what we do. You know, even if we assume we have approval, we're going to make sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's great. Okay, anything else that you're working on that's big and daunting and interesting? I'm sure you're doing a lot of interesting things. But.
I mean, over the last, I want to say 18 months, our whole marketing and communications team, which is technically one team, with separate areas. But we've been going through a bit of a restructure and some changes. It kind of relates to the growth that we talked about. But that's been fun as well, to grow the team, to have new roles for people to grow into, to get new voices and new perspectives. We have a lot of newer folks who have joined, and given the hybrid or remote nature of our work, we have people outside of Indiana now who are bringing in all these different perspectives, which has been really fun.
So as the person who's been there for 10 years, you get asked a lot of questions like, hey, remember we did this in 2018. Can you find it? You're the only one who can say yes.
There are a few of us who've been there for a while.
Trust me, having been here at Asher for 21 years, I get asked a lot of, hey, remember 2008? And it's like, yeah, I do. I was here. Okay, I want to pivot to three more concise questions. Your answers don't need to be concise. You can say as much as you'd like. But let's start with career success. You have a young son. At some point, if not already, you're going to be talking to him about what his future might look like. If you were giving him advice about what it takes to have a successful, fulfilling career, what might you say?
Two things. One, follow your passion. You have to do something you're passionate about or you enjoy doing, not something that may have more job growth in the future or not even necessarily job security, like accounting. That would be a great example, right? But what are you passionate about?
Can I ask a follow-up? It's going to be a leading follow-up question, but feel free to counter it. When people hear that, sometimes they think, well, it's going to be easy. It'll always be fun. not true, correct? You can still be passionate and the work can be hard, correct?
Yeah, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people say, what is it? You don't ever work a day in your life if you have
Find
fun.
a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
That's
not true.
I don't like that because I do work hard and
For
we
sure.
should be challenged in our roles. Work should not be easy, in my opinion. And if you're skating by or something feels easy, well, maybe there's something wrong.
And some of the most fulfilling work you're going to do is some of the hardest work you're going to
Yes.
do. I mean, one of the things I'm sure you've dealt with it, we deal with it here at Asher when our clients need some help is crisis communication.
Mm-hmm.
That is some of the most stressful work that
Yep.
I do. But there are times when I'll say, this is someone I didn't know 6 months ago, and now I'll probably be at their funeral because we worked that closely on something that was that important,
Yes.
right? But a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes into those. So, sorry, I stepped on, you were giving one
no,
example
that's
and then
great.
there was another.
And two is never turn down a project. Get as much experience as you can so that you make yourself marketable later. So that you can say, yes, I have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's great advice just in general to be useful. Be someone who solves problems.
Yep.
And for those who are younger in your career, I'm not a big believer in the phrase fake it until you make it, but there's a fine line. I am a big believer in say yes and use resources to figure out how.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And if you approach it with a growth mindset, you will get so much more out of that. Like ask questions,
Yeah.
say you don't know, but you'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
And then when you're done, you'll be so proud of yourself and
Yeah.
maybe have a whole new skill set.
For sure. For sure. Okay, really great advice. Second question, what is a myth or misconception about the work that you do? This could be communication in healthcare, it could be Parkview, something that you want to debunk, or it could be something that's not appreciated as well as it should be.
Okay, I think you're gonna like this.
All right.
I get really offended when that's how we should start every sentence. I get really offended I get offended when PR professionals are referred to as spin doctors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put a spin on it, or you can spin it. That bothers me because I'm just a really honest person, really ethical person.
Yeah.
And when you imply that I'm positioning a message to deceive you or persuade you to do something, like that's not what I'm doing. That's not true. So for me, it's about authenticity, transparency. If there's something hard to deliver in a message, let's talk about the best way to deliver it so that
100%.
people understand.
100%. When we're working on crisis communication with our clients, I give them a little spiel at the beginning and I say, this is how we work. If you're okay with these terms, we're going to work together great. If not, we may not be the partner for you. One of the things I tell them is that we are big believers in go ugly early.
Yes.
If the news is going to be bad, better you be the messenger.
Get it out.
Better you be honest and get ahead of it than react to all your employees finding out about it from someone else and the story getting away from you, right?
Yes.
It's one of the, again, going back to millennials having a great BS detector, one of the greatest strategies when you have done something wrong or when someone in your organization has done something wrong is to stand up and say, this isn't who we are, we're going to do better, and then prove it.
Yep.
You do that and a lot will be forgiven.
Yep.
You don't, and it probably won't.
Yep. Absolutely agree. We messed up. We're sorry, and here's how we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And then prove it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. The formula I always share with our clients is number one, show compassion, show that you care about the issue. That can come in the form of I'm sorry, but it can come in a lot of different forms. The second piece of the puzzle is give an explanation, not too much, but demonstrate how it was an anomaly, right? This thing happened, it's not supposed to happen, here's why. Or this thing happened due to causes that were really beyond our control, right? Whatever it is, explain, and then the third word is resolution. What are you going to do about it? You're going to provide more training to your employees. Yep. Are you going to terminate the employee, as tough as that is? Are you going to change your policies? What are you going to do? And that's not to say you have to roll over and admit fault when you haven't, really done anything wrong. It's to say that all of us make mistakes. If you own them, it's better for everyone in the long run.
Yes.
Yeah.
And better for your reputation.
100%. Yeah. Okay. this is really great. One more. So what is a tool or tip or trick or hack that you use in your work that helps you do more or do it better?
This is so old school of me, but I guess you could call this a hack so that I can remember. I put a calendar appointment on my calendar every quarter to write thank you notes.
Yeah.
Handwritten thank you notes.
So you've stolen a little bit of my thunder because you'll probably get one from me for doing this.
I love it.
I
love a good thank you note.
This is great. I'm going to nerd out here for a second. I have it every Friday. I've got a thing called a weekly review.
Nice.
And there's, look ahead to the next week, but it's little things like, it just says thank you on the list. It's like, who do I need to thank?
Yeah.
Whether it's giving a shout out to one of my coworkers, right? We have a shout out channel on Slack.
Oh, that's cool.
Whether it's writing a handwritten thank you note, whether it's calling someone and just saying, hey, you didn't need to do that thing. I really appreciate it. I always tell people that literally anything good that's happened in my career, there's always a relationship that pointed me in that direction. So it's trying to be mindful of that. And I could probably do nothing but that for the next 20 years and still not catch up to all the times I should have been grateful. But it's a great practice. Why is that so important to you?
I think leadership is about taking care of people, recognizing people, making sure they know they're appreciated.
Yeah.
I don't have to know everything they're doing or be in the weeds or even know how to edit a video.
Yeah.
But if I appreciate them and I can show that I respect them and they mean a lot and they're valuable to our team, that's leadership, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and it's about making it actionable, right? We all have thoughts. Almost every day, you'll think of someone or something you're grateful for. Create a system where you jot that down and you come back to it. Right?
Yes.
You have to have a thank you file on Apple Notes of, here's someone who did something great. I might not be able to write the thank you note now, but I'm going to stop eventually and do it. Make sure you capture that information.
I love that. So you're saying I should do thank you notes weekly or monthly? Because now it's quarterly.
No,
and
it sounds like you're doing just fine. You don't need any advice from me. I try to do it weekly, but it's not always a thank you note, right?
Oh, right. It's a touch point.
Yeah, it could just be something in the shout out channel. Occasionally, I'm looking at podcast producer Nick. I'll post on LinkedIn. Nick is really great. He does great work behind the scenes because a lot of times, it's the folks who enable what we do who don't get enough credit, right? So
Agree.
It's telling that story. And when you think of it, just tell the person you're thinking of. Don't just have the thought and say, oh, I guess that's good enough.
Yeah.
Take it to the next step.
Make sure they know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is a great time for me to say thank you to you for doing this. This was great. It was great hearing more of your story. Thank you so much. I know you're really busy. I know you have a lot going on. I appreciate the opportunity to hear your story and let the rest of the folks in on it as well.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks, Jessica. And thanks to everyone who took the opportunity to listen to this episode of the Asher Marketing Podcast. We'll be back next time with another great guest, and we hope you'll join us then. The Asher Marketing Podcast is a production of Asher Agency, a full-service agency for franchises and co-ops, colleges and universities, financial service companies, healthcare organizations, and government agencies. We'll be back next time with another great guest, and we hope you'll join us then.